In the middle of the night, my fever spiked to 103 degrees Fahrenheit, but when I called Landon Hayes, he did not pick up. Dazed, I used the secondary credit card he gave me to buy some fever reducer. The next day, the headline Sophia the Gold Digger was everywhere. The endorsement deal I had worked so hard to secure was canceled, and my already tarnished reputation was completely ruined. Having just clawed my way back from bankruptcy, I was dragged back into the mud. I had no choice but to find Landon to explain and apologize. But as I reached the door of the private dining room, I heard his mocking voice. Do you guys know the best way to get a woman completely under your control? It is not about spending money on her. It is about making her owe you money, ruin her career, saddle her with massive debt. That way, she cannot leave even if she wants to. Looking at the astronomical penalty clause in my contract, I suddenly understood everything. I understood why my family's business went bankrupt and why my career had ground to a halt. It turned out that all the misery in my life had been orchestrated by Landon Hayes. While I stood there stunned, dozens more hateful private messages flooded my inbox. They all repeated the same tired insults. They called me a greedy gold digger, saying a leopard cannot change its spots. They said I was shameless and did not appreciate a wonderful man like Landon. Someone even found my parents' address and sent funeral wreaths and dead rats to intimidate them. People dug up my old films and demanded they be pulled from streaming services. On all my social media accounts, the comment sections were a cesspool of vile remarks. Someone even went so far as to Photoshop my face on a vicious memes. They screamed for me to quit Hollywood and disappear from the public eye. All of this happened simply because I used Landon's credit card to buy a box of Tylenol. I cannot resist finding the original post that started the pile-on. It read, "A certain actress with the initial S has to be the most shameless person I have ever seen. Her family went bankrupt, and Landon Hayes invested over $1 billion to bail her out. But instead of being grateful, she schemed her way into his bed and became Mrs. Hayes. She spends his money like water throughout their marriage. On top of that, her private life is a complete mess. She earns tens of millions from a single endorsement deal, yet she not only stiffs her own staff on their salaries, she even makes her husband pay for a simple box of medicine. I have never seen a celebrity so cheap and petty." The post was clearly aimed at me, and it conveniently failed to mention a single thing I had done for Landon over the years. It just latched onto that single box of fever reducer, which cost less than $20. The poster claimed it was a small detail that revealed my true character. They were using lies and slander to paint me as a morally corrupt person. My fever had been so high yesterday that my head was completely foggy. Now that it had subsided a bit, I finally realized who was behind it. The person who started the rumors was Landon's new assistant, Candy Miller. I had met this girl before. She was young, beautiful, and had a nasty temper, glaring at me every time we crossed paths. At first, I just assumed that talented people were often a bit eccentric. Now I understood. She already saw herself as the next Mrs. Hayes. I opened her Instagram profile and saw it was filled with posts about her life. Ski trips to Aspen, parties at vineyards in Napa. It was a perfect portrait of a decadent, high-society lifestyle. The most jarring post was from the previous night's charity gala. Candy was wearing a $1 million custom gown and dripping in $10 million worth of jewels, standing next to Landon as they were interviewed under the spotlights. Suddenly, it all made sense. I understood why the event organizers had rescinded my invitation at the last minute and why Landon had not answered my calls the night before. He already had a new woman, Candy, by his side, and now this new flame, with Landon's blessing, was eager to tear me down so she could take my place. I could not help but look up at the group laughing inside the private room. Under the soft ambient lighting, Landon and Candy were drinking with their arms linked, their lips nearly touching. Candy then accidentally stumbled into Landon's arms, blushing as their friends cheered them on. One of his friends laughed. "Landon, you are the master. You managed to land a beauty like Sophia without spending a dime, and you have kept her completely devoted all these years. But are you not worried she will find out and lose it?" Landon took Candy's hand, kissed it gently, and then laughed dismissively. Do you have any idea what the penalty clause in Sophia's contract is? $800 million. Without me, she will never be able to pay that off in her lifetime. So no matter what I do, she has no choice but to stay right where I want her by my side. As he spoke, Landon smugly shared his secrets for wife management with his friends. He explained how he orchestrated my family's bankruptcy, only to swoop in like a white knight to win my heart. He detailed how he used a simple box of medicine to destroy my reputation and sabotage my career, leaving me with no option but to depend on him. He was so proud as he said it, completely oblivious to me standing outside with tears streaming down my face. I remembered being at the lowest point of my life when I met Landon. My family's company had gone bankrupt, and my father, in his despair, had taken his own life. The shock sent my mother, who had lived a sheltered life, to the hospital with a heart attack. To make money, I desperately took any acting job I could get. But I was tangled up in lawsuits, and all the actors and directors who were once my friends started avoiding me. Only Landon stepped forward to help. It was a bright, sunny day when Landon knelt in front of me and smiled. "Sophia, I have seen your films," he said. "You are so pure and beautiful, not like the others in this industry. Please give me a chance to do something for you." Before I could even respond, Landon had already sprung into action. He paid off all of my family's debts. He found the best specialists in the country to treat my mother. He showered me with designer jewelry, mansions, and diamond rings without a second thought. When he found out I loved animals, he spared no expense. He even built me a sprawling, multi-acre mansion in New York City, where every inch of land is worth a fortune. Everyone said I was the luckiest woman alive to have met a benefactor like Landon. He single-handedly took me from a struggling actress to an A-list celebrity. I was young and naive back then. I did not understand how cruel the world could be or how deceitful people were. I was completely swept away by Landon's charm and generosity. Then, on our wedding day, Landon told me something. "Sophia, I've been hurt before. The one thing I cannot stand is a gold digger. I want our love to be pure, without any financial interests involved." To that end, he had a prenuptial agreement drawn up. The terms were crystal clear. Landon's official salary was only $1 per year. If we divorced, the only asset I would be entitled to was that single dollar. To put his mind at ease and to prove my love for him, I signed the document without a moment's hesitation. But it was only after we were married that I discovered the true extent of Landon's scheming. The money he invested to save my family's company was all structured as loans. I was expected to pay back every single penny with interest. The jewelry he gave me was all registered in his mother's name. I did not own any of it, and I even had to pay a substantial rental fee each time I wore a piece. For the mansion and luxury cars he gave me, only the down payments were covered. I was responsible for the enormous monthly mortgage payments. On top of that, the prenup had other stipulations. As Mrs. Hayes, I was obligated to uphold the family and corporate image. This meant attending countless events with Landon and acting as an unpaid spokesperson for his company's products. I had to buy my own designer clothes and jewelry to maintain the dignified appearance of Mrs. Hayes. The packed schedule of parties and corporate events consumed all of my time. My once thriving career took a nosedive, and it completely drained what little savings I had left. I tried to complain to Landon about it, but every time he would just hold me close and say the same thing. "Sophia, I do not want this either. But the Hayes Corporation is a massive entity, and I cannot override the board's decisions. Just be patient. Once I have full control of the family business, I will make it all up to you." I was patient for 3 years. For 3 years, I gave him my heart, my soul, everything I had. In return, my family was destroyed and my name was dragged through the mud. Now, thanks to his scheming, I was facing an impossible penalty clause. All that talk of love and sincerity from the very beginning was all just a calculated plot to bleed me dry. I could not control my emotions. I fled into the restroom and broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. I turned on the faucet to drown out the sound of my own grief. When I finally looked up, Candy Miller was standing in front of me. She was dressed in an expensive designer outfit, a smug, triumphant look in her eyes. "Sophia, I assume you heard all of that," she said. "You must be heartbroken, devastated even. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Let me give you some friendly advice. Just divorce Landon quietly. While you still have a little bit of fame left, you could make adult films or find a rich old man. You might be able to pay off your debts eventually. Otherwise, when you're old and your looks are gone, and he finally kicks you to the curb, life is going to be much harder." She knew my weaknesses. She understood my pain, and every word was designed to twist a knife. Why I did not respond? Candy leaned in closer. In a demonic whisper that only I could hear, she said, "Oh, and by the way, I bet you did not know this. I'm the one who drafted your prenup, and I was the one who engineered your family's bankruptcy all those years ago. So do not even think you can get rid of me. I'm not just some pretty trophy like you. I'm the only one who is truly worthy of standing by Landon's side." Her vicious expression reminded me of the look of utter despair in my father's eyes before he died. I finally snapped. I slapped her hard across the face. The second my hand made contact, a force shoved me aside. Landon was suddenly there, standing protectively in front of Candy. He looked at the faint red mark on her cheek, his face filled with concern. The tenderness I once saw in his eyes was gone, replaced by a barely concealed rage. "Sophia, what the hell are you doing? Apologize to Candy right now. Do you have any idea what this would do to the company's image if someone saw you?" He was worried about Candy and worried about his company. He did not even notice that my heart had already died. I slowly pulled myself to my feet and forced the words out through clenched teeth. "Landon, I want a divorce. I wanted a divorce. I could find a way to pay for my mother's medical bills on my own. I could work to pay off the debts, even if it took the rest of my life. Even if it took every last bit of my strength. Anything was better than spending another day in misery by Landon's side." When he heard me, a flicker of shock crossed Landon's face, but it was quickly replaced by his usual arrogant, controlling demeanor. He pulled Candy behind him and looked down at me. "Sophia, stop this nonsense," he said. "You know exactly how toxic your reputation is right now. If you leave me, your life is over. Listen to me. I'm telling you to apologize to Candy for your own good. My life was already in ruins thanks to him. How much worse could it possibly get?" This time, I refused to back down. I ignored the false affection in his eyes, shook his hand off my arm, and walked away without a backward glance. On my way out, Landon bombarded me with iMessages. He had no idea that I knew everything. He kept insisting I apologize to Candy, claiming that it was all for my own good. I ignored them, but as I rounded a corner, I was stopped by 2 police officers. "Sophia, you're under suspicion of assault. Please come with us for questioning." They had a video of me slapping her. The options were to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness or pay a $300,000 settlement. To maintain his image as a doting husband, Landon quickly transferred the money, promising he would take care of everything. I was wondering what his angle was. Then a lawyer showed me a video on a tablet. "Ms. Adams, we just received a call from a hospital. Your mother is in critical condition. She needs an emergency surgery that costs $300,000. Coincidentally, Ms. Miller's settlement is also $300,000. So, will you choose to apologize to Ms. Miller, or will you choose to watch your mother die?" Seeing my mother's pale face on the screen, my hands began to shake uncontrollably. Landon was pretending to be the loving husband solving my problems, while simultaneously using my mother's life to blackmail me into kneeling before his mistress. He was the greatest actor in the world, putting on one performance after another of feigned devotion. My heart seized in my chest. The tears I'd been holding back for so long finally began to fall. But in the end, I slowly closed my eyes and made the only choice I could. It was the most humiliating choice of my life. I will apologize. I cannot let my mother die because of me. Surrounded by mocking, contemptuous stares and the sound of cruel, dismissive whispers, I bent my knees slowly and knelt on the floor. Candy's face still held that smug, victorious expression. I noticed several fresh, dark hickeys on her neck. She leaned down close to me, a cruel smile on her face, and whispered, an A-list celebrity on her knees begging for forgiveness. "Sophia, How will you ever show your face in public again? Then again, it does not matter. Your life is already over. I cannot be bothered with you anymore. I have to go open a new present Landon just bought me. I watched her walk away, then returned alone to our house in the Hamptons. As soon as I walked in the door, our housekeeper Maria ran to me in a panic. "Ma'am, you are finally back. The hospital called. They said your mother just passed away." I called them back to find out what happened. They said the funds for the surgery were withheld, so they could not operate. What did you say? My eyes flew open, my mind a complete blank. Just then, a new iMessage from Landon popped up on my phone. "Sophia, your mother's medical expenses were paid from a corporate account. That is $300,000 you owe. Do not forget $300,000. He used that money to force me to my knees in front of Candy, and then he used that same money to let my mother die. To him, that amount was nothing, just the price of a fancy dinner or a designer handbag. To me, it was the final straw. I completely broke. I stormed out of the house with the single thought of taking Landon down with me. But Maria stopped me with tears in her eyes. She begged me to calm down, reminding me that the dead cannot be brought back. She pleaded with me to keep living. I sat there all night until the sun came up, feeling as though I had cried all the tears I would ever have. Landon did not come home until morning, clearly hungover. He was startled by my disheveled state and rushed to pull me up from the floor. The moment he touched me, the scent of Candy's perfume washed over me. Landon did not seem to notice, pulling me into an embrace and comforting me gently. "What is wrong, Sophia? Why are you crying so hard? Is this about Candy or about all that stuff online?" "It is okay. If it is too much, you could just quit acting. You can stay home and just focus on being Mrs. Hayes. I will work hard to solidify my position at the company, and then I will never let anyone bully you again." I looked up at him, and my mind drifted back to the day we first met so many years ago. He had said to me, "Sophia, I have seen your films. You are a brilliant, talented actress. Do not ever give up on your dream for anyone or anything. I will always be by your side, your biggest supporter." I thought I had finally found my soulmate, someone who truly understood me. That is why I worked so hard, taking every role and every endorsement deal. I pushed myself until I was sick, drinking so much at networking events that I developed an ulcer. I never imagined he was just using my fame to build his own network. Now that his career was stable, he no longer needed a well-connected actress on his arm. It was time for me to give up my dreams and become a housewife. So he had to let my mother die, leaving me completely alone and dependent on him. That way, I would have no choice but to be his perfect, supportive wife. The pain was so intense, I could not even speak. I tried to pull away from his touch, but he had already let go. He was looking at his phone, a sense of urgency on his face. "Sophia, you get some rest. I will have Maria stay with you." Something urgent came up at the office. He left in a hurry, unaware that Candy had sent me a message as well. It was a screenshot of her conversation with him, sent to celebrate her final victory in taming me. Landon had bought her a $30 million mansion as a reward. And right now, Candy was waiting for him in her new home, dressed in lingerie. How pathetic, how utterly tragic. I looked at the social media post demanding I be blacklisted from the industry, and the tears started again. Why? What had I done to deserve this? Why did the man who destroyed my life get to be so happy and carefree, while I, who had done nothing wrong, was being crucified? I thought about it for a long time, and then I made a decision. Before I left the industry for good, I was going to put on one last spectacular show for Landon Hayes. That night, the news that A-list star Sophia Adams had been driven to suicide, taking her unborn child with her, exploded online. Landon was jolted from his sleep by a relentless series of phone calls. The person on the other end did not wait for him to get angry. They just blurted it out. "Mr. Hayes, it is bad. You need to see the news right now. Your wife, she killed herself." "What?" Landon shot up in bed. All traces of sleep vanished, his heart hammering in his chest. Without thinking, he grabbed his phone, his first instinct being to call me. But his screen was flooded with news alerts. A-list actress jumps to her death. Troubled love affair suspected. Heartbreaking suicide note revealed. Beloved CEO's devotion a complete sham. The flood of headlines and notifications was overwhelming. It took him a long time to piece together what had happened. The night before, after he had left the house, I had apparently driven to the coast and jumped from cliffs. Not only that, but right before my death, I had posted a long, gut-wrenching suicide note to my public Twitter account. In it, I detailed everything I had gone through over the past few years. I wrote about how Landon had manipulated me into giving up my career. I described how he had bled me dry financially and how he had left me buried under a mountain of debt. I even included a detailed list of our shared expenses from our years of marriage. The list was long, covering everything from stock investments down to a box of condoms. It showed that we split nearly every single expense. Far from being a gold digger, I had actually incurred countless extra expenses just to maintain Landon's public image. If it had just been the list, Landon might have been able to spin his way out of it. But my death took the scandal to a whole new level. No one would use their own life to frame someone. The suicide note became the final, desperate cry of a woman who had been pushed beyond her breaking point. As soon as the news broke, public sympathy swung entirely in my favor. The tide of public opinion turned completely. The same people who had been calling me a cheapskate were now aiming all their vitriol at Landon. I cannot believe an A-list star was living such a miserable life. This is just heartbreaking. So much for marrying a billionaire. I guess these powerful families really do chew you up and spit you out. Poor Sophia. Her entire life was ruined by that man. I am an attending physician at Mount Sinai, and I have met Sophia. She was going through so much, with her mother being sick and her father's recent death, all while trying to juggle filming and hospital visits. Landon says all the right things, but I never once saw him at the hospital in all those years. He would not even pay for his mother-in-law's life-saving surgery. I also heard rumors that he was somehow involved in her family's bankruptcy. These people are monsters. It was not just our relationship history that was dug up. Landon's affair with Candy Miller was exposed as well. Someone even found Candy's public Instagram account. That is when everyone saw the truth. The man who supposedly doted on his wife and spared no expense for her had been cheating for years. He was financially controlling and abusive towards me, nickel and diming my every move. Yet for Candy, he spent millions funding her lavish lifestyle. The stark contrast sent the public into a frenzy. My tragic death was the fuel that turned the fire into an inferno. An army of online vigilantes descended upon Landon. His personal social media and his company's website were completely overrun. If his home address had not been private, people would have been on his doorstep. Landon could only stare at his screen in a daze. The constant stream of information was a relentless assault. He looked at it all in disbelief, unable to process the emotions swirling inside him. Sophia is dead. That is impossible. How could she have known all of that? I told everyone that information had to be kept strictly confidential. Who leaked it? As he spoke, Landon turned and glared at Candy, whose expression was a mixture of emotions. His accusatory stare made her squirm. She looked away awkwardly and mumbled, "It must have been a coincidence. Do not worry, Landon. I will get to the bottom of this, I promise." Candy moved towards him, trying to comfort him with a gentle touch. But this time Landon ignored her. He kept rereading the posts, searching for any clue, any inconsistency. But the more he read, the more a chilling fear crept into his heart. All these years, Landon thought his plans were flawless, that his secrets were safe. He never realized his schemes were riddled with holes. It was my love for him that had made me blind to them. My love had made me ignore the red flags time and time again. Now, every single one of those details was being picked apart by strangers online. Every moment of our life together was being presented as proof that he never loved me. And the worst part was, he could not deny any of it. An uncontrollable ache started in Landon's chest. He still refused to believe I was really gone. He could not believe that the vibrant, kind, and innocent girl he knew would end her life over one small betrayal. But in the next moment, his world came crashing down. He saw the news report about my mother's death. It had happened the day before, just a few hours before my own supposed death. The cause of death was listed as complications resulting from a delayed surgical procedure due to non-payment. In that instant, Landon's heart was seized by pure panic. He could not contain his rage any longer and grabbed Candy by the arm. I transferred the money. Why the hell was it not used for her surgery? I trusted you with this one thing. Why did this happen? Candy had never seen Landon this furious. The color drained from her face, but she tried to remain composed. She's gone, Landon. There's no point in getting so upset over it now. Our priority should be figuring out how to handle this public relations nightmare. Sophia killed herself over something so trivial. It just proves a weak person like her was never cut out to be Mrs. Hayes. But I am, Landon. Just give me a chance. I will prove it to you. I can be so much better for you than she ever was. But Landon, who had always indulged her every whim, now shoved her away. His face was cold, his eyes sharp as he stared her down. Who the hell do you think you are, comparing yourself to Sophia? You're just a toy, a tool I used to keep Sophia in line. Your only value was in relation to her. If she's really gone, I swear I will make you pay. With that, Landon shoved Candy aside and stormed out. He had to find me. A man who could be so calculating with his own wife would never be truly loyal to a mistress. Landon had planned his escape route from the very beginning. Everything he had given Candy was technically marital property, which he could legally reclaim at any time. He had given her a powerful position at the company and let her do as she pleased. But he had also been secretly compiling a dossier on her, gathering evidence of her corporate malfeasance. He had everything he needed to send her to prison. If he chose, he had 1,000 ways to destroy her. But right now, his only priority was finding me. He needed proof, a body. He could not accept it was real until he saw me with his own eyes. Landon started driving toward his office. Halfway there, he got a call from the police. Mr. Hayes, we found a body on the coast. Based on the identification we found, we have reason to believe it is Sophia Adams. We need you to come down to the station. The words hit Landon like a physical blow. The entire drive, he clung to a sliver of hope. He kept telling himself it was all a mistake. But when he arrived at the beach, that hope was extinguished. The area was surrounded by police tape, and there, under a white sheet, was the person he had been so desperate to find. A detective politely showed Landon his badge and briefly explained the situation. Based on our initial assessment, the death appears to be a suicide. We also found a medical report in her purse. It indicates that Ms. Adams was nearly 3 months pregnant at the time of her death. Mr. Hayes, we are very sorry for your loss. The world tilted on its axis. Landon looked up, his expression blank. His mind refused to accept what he was hearing. For years, he had wanted a child with me, a child that would be a symbol of their love. But my health had suffered from all the corporate events I attended for him, and I had trouble conceiving. It had been a source of quiet sadness between us for years. Now, this long-awaited miracle had become the source of his greatest pain. Landon staggered back a few steps. He fought to keep his composure, not wanting to break down in front of everyone. But he could feel the sharp, judgmental stares of the officers on him. The endless questions and the official investigation all forced him to confront the ugly truth of what he had done. Landon felt as if the entire world was mocking him, silently screaming his guilt. Landon Hayes, you are a monster. From that day on, Landon was consumed by an overwhelming grief. He could not put his feelings into words. He did not know how to cope. He locked himself in our bedroom, spending his days replaying our memories, drowning in guilt and regret. But just like with that box of Tylenol, one small action had set off an unstoppable chain reaction. My death created a massive, ongoing public firestorm. His company's stock plummeted. The board of directors started proceedings to have him removed as CEO. My fans organized protests and support groups. They did not just attack him online. They covered his office building and our home with funeral wreaths. Landon was trying to grieve for me and for our unborn child. At the same time, he was overwhelmed with managing the fallout. The more stressed and heartbroken he became, the more he found himself missing me. Maybe you really do not know what you have until it's gone. After my death, Landon could not get my image out of his head. He remembered how I used my beauty and my wits as a weapon, fighting his battles for him at endless corporate dinners. He remembered all the small moments we had shared. He remembered how I had given everything I had for him. The past haunted him, a constant torment. The more he tried to forget, the more vivid the memories became. Just when he felt he was on the verge of a complete breakdown, he saw a photo online. It was a blurry shot of a woman's back, but he recognized me instantly. When Landon found me, I was in the middle of a shoot on a street in London. Director Evans had cleared the set for privacy, but that did not stop Landon. I have no idea how he found out where I was. He just showed up, flying in overnight without any warning. The look on his face when he saw me was a masterpiece. It was a mix of shock and relief that I was alive, and pure fury that I had faked my own death and disappeared. I, however, remained perfectly calm. I never expected to hide from him forever. After a moment of stunned silence, Landon was the first to speak. Sophia, you are alive? If you were alive, why did you not call me? Do you have any idea how hard I have been looking for you? Do you know how much pain I have been in? I have regretted what I did every single day since you have been gone. I just laughed, a cold, empty sound, and looked at him with dead eyes. What did he think the reason was? It was because I never wanted to see his face again. 3 years ago, I had met the brilliant indie director, Mr. Evans, on a film set. He told me he had a script that he thought would be perfect for me. The only catch was that the production was top secret and would require me to be completely off the grid for an extended period. Back then, I was in a honeymoon phase with Landon and could not bear the thought of being away from him, so I politely declined. I never imagined that this director, a true artist, had actually been waiting for me. After I saw Landon's true colors, I decided to take a chance. I called Director Evans on a whim and asked if the offer was still open. He agreed immediately, without a moment's hesitation, and so we made a plan. He would help me stage the performance of a lifetime, a fake death to escape my old life. I would give up everything I had in the United States and commit completely to his film. The performance was a resounding success. Director Evans even had the brilliant idea of revealing I was pregnant, making a case of 2 lives lost for extra impact. Our collaboration went smoothly. The only thing we did not plan for was Landon finding me so quickly. After I explained everything, Landon was silent for a long time. Then he grabbed my arm and tried to drag me away. Director Evans immediately stepped in, blocking his path. Mr. Hayes, I think you have made a mistake. This is Sophia Adams, my lead actress, not your late wife. Now, please leave the set. You're disrupting our shoot. Landon's eyes blazed with fury as he spoke through clenched teeth. Do you take me for an idiot? Sophia, we were together for years. Of course I recognize you. I know you're angry about your mother. I am sorry, okay? You made your point. It is time to come home with me now. In his mouth, a human life was reduced to me just throwing a tantrum. It was as if everything and everyone in the world was just a pawn for him to control. He never understood the meaning of love or respect, and he certainly never treated me as an equal. For all those years, I was just his trophy. I was a tool he used to gain attention and secure deals. Even now, after everything, he felt no real remorse. He genuinely believed that a few empty words would be enough, that I would just forget all the pain, throw away this new life I had built, and run back into his arms. Landon Hayes was the most calculating, cold-hearted man I had ever met. I ripped my arm from his grasp and slapped him hard across the face. Then I spoke in a voice like ice. Stop dreaming, Landon. From the day you first decided to ruin me, from the day you let my mother die, I swore I would never, ever forgive you. As long as I am breathing, I will make you pay for what you did to my family. Perhaps the fury in my eyes finally got through to him. The shock in his expression slowly gave way to a deep sadness. After a long silence, he finally whispered, I am sorry, Sophia. I never wanted any of this to happen. But my upbringing, my family, it forces you to be careful. You have no idea what it was like for me growing up, the kind of things I had to deal with every day. I wanted to love you with everything I had, without any reservations. But Sophia, I had my own pressures, my own burdens. Landon went on and on, telling me his life story. He talked about the betrayals he had suffered since he was a child, from friends and from his own family. He even managed to squeeze out a few tears as he told his sob story. I know I did things that hurt you, but please, Sophia, you have to believe me. That was never my intention. I had my reasons, things I could not control. Just give me one more chance. I will make it all up to you. I will give you anything you want. It was too late. My mother was dead, and she was not coming back. The one thing I wanted, I could never have again. From the moment I learned the truth, the only thing I felt for Landon was a bottomless, burning hatred. Leaving him was just the first step. I was waiting for my chance to get revenge. Soon, that chance arrived. The film I made with director Evans was a massive critical and commercial success. It generated huge buzz both in the United States and internationally. I won several major awards for my performance, and I was suddenly back in the spotlight. At the Academy Awards ceremony, with the whole world watching, I told my story. I told them everything Landon had done to me. I presented the evidence proving he was responsible for my family's ruin. And Landon, who was in the audience, just sat there and watched me, not saying a word in his own defense. He ignored the jeers from the crowd and the swarm of reporters that surrounded him afterward. His eyes never left my face, his expression unchanging. He just watched me for a long time, and finally, a pale, tired smile touched his lips. "You look beautiful tonight, Sophia. You are just as beautiful as the day I first met you. Meeting you, being with you, it was the best thing that ever happened to me." With that, he turned and walked away, calm amidst the chaos of condemnation. The next morning, photos of Landon's body were all over the news. He had killed himself at home. He did not fake his death to escape the way I had. He chose a violent, undeniable end to his life. He died completely alone. The only thing he had with him was the diamond ring from the year we were married.